about Flying Sparks Vol.2. Just in time because the crowdfunding is about to kick off sometime this month for Flying Sparks Vol.3. So, as you remember, I liked the first one. This one, I have a nice hardback edition I got on Kickstarter. It's not available on Amazon yet, but there is a website where you can order it. I'll have a link in the video description to that. But yeah, like this cover, it's cool. I've had it as my Twitter profile picture for a while. The only thing I'd say is that it's a cool dynamic cover of Johnny taking cover behind his car, which makes sense given that the subtitle is mob ties and everything. But the only thing I would have done is I'm still not sure if this is supposed to be the path of a bullet or if it's somebody shooting a laser gun at it. I probably would have made that clear. I probably would have made that more clear if I was doing this cover, but that's about it. It has a nice wraparound where you see Meta Girl on the back, so it's not the same thing on both sides. And yeah. And yeah. And anyway, yeah. Anyway, this contains 3 issues of I say issues, but I'm not sure you would really call them issues since it's not sold separately. It's more sold the way manga is sold, which, again, is what I've been calling for the comic book industry to do for a while. I'm going to make another video where I talk about what I think is happening with Marvel and how I think that that's going to have a knock-on effect on the rest of the industry later on, but I don't want to get too much into that. But I'm just going to say that I think John Delaraz and some others have it right in that, but I think his model is probably the most workable for keeping comics alive in the United States, and that is sell them like manga in these volumes so that, you know, so that instead of charging, it now looks like $10 an issue is going to become the new norm in the next year or two for American comics. I think that's going to be the death knell for American comics. They're floating it with special issues right now, but today's special issue is what in a year or two they charge for a 30-page comic. So I think that's where we're headed for $10 issues. Whereas this, 20 bucks, you know, or whatever, you know, I think the first one is like 17 something. You get 3 issues worth, and yeah, it's much more sold closer to manga. But yeah, I think this is the smart way. Printing it on demand. Using Amazon and other services to print on demand seems to be the best route to go right now. Use crowdfunding to get initially pay your artists, but then don't let your book just disappear. Don't create artificial scarcity. Go forward. If you're really trying to save comics, move forward and keep making and have your old issues be available. Do not make the crowdfunding thing. I'm just making crowdfunding. I'm just making this for the crowdfunding crowd. And if you didn't catch it, 2 years ago when I had my crowdfunding campaign that was open for like a month, well then, sucks to be you. No, use digital distribution, use print on demand, keep your books out there. That is how we'll move forward with comics. But anyway, yeah, I'm not going to outline the whole plot. I've decided to get away from that simply because, 1, it gets me copyright claim. 2, I realized that my reviews were becoming bloated, and I don't have enough to say. I don't have enough to say, so I'm trying to change the style of my comic book reviews because I don't like commenting on every single page and letting people see them, because also it seems to me that it's close to a form of piracy that people. When I realized that people could have watched my reviews and supplemented reading the actual issue for that, I want to get away from that. But anyway, last time we left off, a bunch of Johnny who is who is like a fencer and a thief with bright pink electrical powers. His assistant was being held hostage by some minor, by the butler of some guy who tried to double cross him, who pulled a gun on him, and he killed him with his bright pink electrical power. And the butler is here threatening the guy who killed his boss, who threatened him with a gun, with his bright pink electrical power. He's here threatening that guy with a gun exactly the same way his boss did when his boss got killed for killing his boss. Jeeves, this guy is not. I mean, yeah, it goes about as well as you can see. It goes about as well as you could expect. I mean, look, what did he expect exactly? But of course, now his assistant now knows that he's a supervillain. Oh, and apparently this guy, he needs to lay off. Johnny needs to lay off watching sports. I'm sorry. He said at one point he said that he discovered his powers after a grand slam. The Dodgers blew the lead in the ninth. I was a little more upset than I should have been. Giants swept the series, but I sure showed them by frying my 50-inch plasma TV. Yeah, that'll show a millionaire who could buy and sell you 100 times over. I fried the TV that probably cost me the equivalent of a month's income. Yeah, you sure taught me a lesson destroying your own stuff. But yeah, Metagirl, also as the story goes on, Metagirl gets an ally and her very own version of Commissioner Gordon. There's a hooded kid who accidentally blasts a guy in the back with a gun. It's yeah. So yeah. And yeah, it's just and it turns out the ruby is really important. The ruby Johnny took was really important to the mob. To the mob. So and there's a villain who was apparently stealing it just for kicks. Apparently he stole it to have the professor get it, to steal it again from the professor for kicks, and apparently the ruby is the key to a super weapon of some kind. There's a new cool like ninja lady who has a much better disguise than Chloe. She has a hood and a mask. Chloe's little mask thing, she has the typical little mask thing that I've always hated. Even when I was a kid, I didn't think this would work. Here's the thing, with these little mask things, all you're doing is covering the area around your eye. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can notice you. Pretty sure I can recognize you with that. Here's the thing, here's what I always wondered. Why don't they just get some of that mesh? If they really want people not to recognize them, you know that there's a mesh that they use when you use walk-around creatures in like the walk-around characters that have to like see through their own necks and stuff, that are taller than the person in the suit, like Big Bird on Sesame Street, or a lot of the costume characters in Disneyland. There's this mesh that they wear that totally obscures the eyes, but the operators can see through. If you're gonna just put something over your eyes, use something like that, or at least, you know, combine it with a hood or thicker thing, because yeah, as you can see, Chloe, Metagirl comes across Paul, who recognizes her instantly. So yeah, this disguise is as bad a disguise as I thought it was. It's as pointless, and I don't know why you'd even bother putting it on. Why? Well, all this guy does is work with her boyfriend. If the guy who just works with your boyfriend recognizes you instantly, it's time to get another disguise, Chloe. I'm sorry, Metagirl, it's time. So yeah, you have this cool villain. Of course, she breaks out other villains to try and help her take down Metagirl. So now you have the added complication of Paul knows that Metagirl is Chloe, but Chloe doesn't know that Johnny is, I'm just going to call him Shock Guy, because he doesn't seem to get a name yet. And yeah, the new supervillain is is really cool. And look, her mask actually works. See? You can't see her eyes. See, this is what you should be going for. Even with her hood turned off, that at least would give me a chance of not instantly recognizing her because it's so big around, it's distracting and you don't get a good look at her eyes. That's the key to a good disguise. Do not let them see your eyes and wear your hair in a different way. Superheroes of the world, I implore you, take notes. Start trying to obscure. So yeah, things get more complicated as the mob gets involved, more experiment go, and yeah, I'm not going to get all it, but the plot gets much more complicated, and I think it moves along at a brisker pace than in Flying Sparks 1. I would say that in every way, this book is an improvement on the first book. Now that things have been established, the stakes can go up. The art gets more dynamic, and I'll tell you something. The conclusion that I read was that in the type of story that this is, right now digitally, I've been buying and reading a lot of, on my Kindle, I've been buying and reading a lot of classic Stan Lee comics from the 1960s, and that's the type of book this is. That's what the situations feel like, that's whatever, and it feels put together in that, it feels, it doesn't, it feels like, and it has that same, it has that same feel of the stakes are constantly going up and things are just put together so well, and the art is just so dynamic. And yeah, this is some of the best comic book art out there. I mean, again, back in like the 90s, this would have been par for the course, but nowadays this is really, really good. And I'm not trying to take somebody away from the arts, because I consider that the 80s and 90s comic book art, I consider up until like the mid-2000s that comic book art was on the whole, from the big two, was on the whole really good, especially at Marvel. So when I say that it's on par with comic book art from that, I'm just, when I'm saying that it's about average for what I would have expected from a book back then, I'm really praising it, especially as it's an indie project. It used to be that only at the big two, and again, I think that this is technology helping us overcome a problem, and you can connect with your audience without a publisher getting in the way. And I hope more and more writers and artists figure this out. And anyway, this is really well put together. I really like the characters, and this was just a really fun, fast read, and it just brought back that feeling that I was reading something from the Silver Age, and or as I call it, the Stan Lee Golden Age of I call the Silver Age, I think of as Marvel's Golden Age. The Silver Age for DC is Marvel's Golden Age, and it just feels like that. And so, if you enjoy that kind of book, I would highly recommend this, and I'd say you should follow the link in my video description and order your copy. You can get it with a nice, it just comes in a nice package, and it has a great feel to it, and yeah, so I give this a 9.5 out of 10, and yeah, you should definitely buy it. All right, thanks for watching. See you next time.